I am delighted to have an old friend in the studio with us today. Larry, this is the first time you've been in with me, haven't you? Larry Blight's with us today. He's the lead chaplain at Asante Rogue Regional Medical Centers. And we're going to talk about being a chaplain at the hospital. And you've been doing it for quite a while.
I have.
For how long?
6 years at the hospital, and then 15 years as a public service chaplain, and then at the hospital together.
Wow, that's great. So, are you in need of helpers?
Yes, we want to do good patient care, and so that means we have to have volunteers. Mm-hmm. And volunteers are like the core of our group. And so we do trainings twice a year, and we have one coming up. The hospital with our chaplain over at Three Rivers is Sandy Richard, mm-hmm. and she's got a training coming up March 15th and 16th, and I've got one on the 14 and 15, and I've got one on March 21 here, mm-hmm. and it's an all-day training, but it's great. We put it open to pastors and students. We try to draw some students in there because, for instance, your Dove Bible Institute people could come over for a day of training. They'd get excellent training, and it would be maybe they could get study hours for it or some kind of external credit for it. I've been on a professional training board called CO4 Public Safety Education Association. I do training for them. I've done that for 15 years, as well as the stuff I did at the church, and we've been doing this in a trying to draw volunteers in who will be willing to put 4 hours a week. And we can adjust the schedules, but they do 4 hours a week, and they'll do a training like on the 21st and that's just kind of an informative. Here's some things that we do, and here's some things we like to do. One of the things we do is spiritual assessments. And so we talk about how to do that. What is included in the spiritual assessment? When you're talking to a patient, you're constantly thinking about where they are spiritually in terms of, are they connected to themselves, are they connected to others, and are they connected to a God or the God, depending on their faith background or lack of faith background. Right. So
you train people and teach them how to look for those things.
Yes. And the other thing we do is comfort. Provide comfort, and that means listening to stories, listening to the patient. We don't do a lot of talking, or hopefully we don't. Yeah. Some of us do, and we just have to really be conscious of we're constantly want to listen. What do you have to say? Because people, when they're in that hospital, there's a wide range of emotions going on. Right. And we found that a significant percentage of people, the heart surgery is not really the problem. There's family issues going on, and now that they got this thing, it seems to magnify those problems. Right. And so we talk to them, let them vent a little bit, and then they say, "Thanks for coming in."
Now, are you allowed to pray for them, or do you wait for them to ask you to pray? How does that work? Or do you feel your way through this thing?
You feel your way through it. We try to tell our people, be conservative about offering prayer. If like I like to say, what else can I do for you? Is there anything I can do for you before I leave? And a lot of times people will say, "Can you pray for me?" I'd love to do that. Yeah. And so then we offer the prayer. Because it's a secular hospital, we do have to be conscious of that, and because we have a wide spectrum of patients, either non-believers or from a lot of different faith backgrounds.
How do you handle that? How do you handle the variety of faiths and be respectful and at the same time be open?
Well, and yeah, that's what we do the training for. Yeah. What we try to do is to say we're there for spiritual assessment and comfort, and proselytizing doesn't include that. It's not included in that, so we don't even go there. Okay. We're not trying to get people saved. No, right. First of all, it's God's job, and God can do it whether I'm there or not, so I don't have to worry about that. So I just want to go there and listen and get the feel for them. And then when I say if there's anything I can do, sometimes they'll say no. Sometimes I've even had a Buddhist say, "Yeah, pray for me." And so we try to offer that, as a opportunity.
What's a typical day of a chaplain at the hospital? What do you guys do?
Well, for me, I go to rounds in the ICU, CCU, and that's where the doctors, they have all the groups there, doctors, physical therapists, respiratory therapists, nurses, the whole gamut, dietitians and that. and talk about each of the, or a number of the patients at that time that are they're not covered by another doctor per se. It's the hospitalist type of thing. And so I go to rounds, and then we have a census, and we try to find people that are, we have our volunteers come in, and what they try to do is make rounds. They'll try to go pick a floor and go room to room, or sometimes the nurses will have a referral for us. And so if they say this person said they want to see the chaplain, so we send a volunteer, or I go myself, and so pretty much all the day we're running like that.
How do you work with hospice?
A lot of our patients go on to hospice, so for us it's more of an informational thing. Here's what hospice will do for you. Don't be afraid of it. Use it, because it's a wonderful tool, you know, for the end of life situation. And so we just try to make sure that they're comfortable with it, and if we can answer any questions, we'll answer the questions.
All right.
We do training on hospice, incidentally. Every month we have a volunteer training meeting, and we have different subjects we cover, and hospice is one of those things we cover.
All right, I want to, before we run out of time, I want you to give me those dates again, because you can go to Three Rivers and get trained, or come to you in a little bit later on and get trained.
Yes, right? A week later. Three Rivers is
March 5th, or
14th and 15th.
Okay.
That's a Thursday, Friday. It's a 2-day thing, and ours is on the next Thursday. It's the 21st.
Okay, and it's an all-day training.
It's an all-day training.
And this is what you're going to go through.
Yeah, that talks about the different subjects we'll be covering.
And how do you qualify people? How do you screen them to become volunteers and chaplains?
Well, I have to screen them first, you know, but they have to go through a background check. They have to go through sign confidentiality agreements. They have to go through a hospital orientation, and a lot of times it's a 90-day process. At 90 days, I bring them in, and if there's problems, you know, they're done. And you know, sometimes they get just too a little evangelistic, and they won't stop. You know, I've had argued with people. They say, you know, God told us to reach to everybody, and the Great Commission and everything. I said, this is not the place to do that. Go out to the neighborhoods if you want. Knock on doors if you want. But here we do assessment and comfort. That's it. Don't do any of that stuff. And if they can't,
then you have to move on.
Yeah, if they're not focused spiritually, that comes out too.
But on the other hand, Larry, what an incredible opportunity to love people.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I meet some of the most wonderful people in the world. You know, I met a guy that said he was an atheist.
Right.
I said, I've never met an atheist. Tell me about that. And he started talking about some incident that happened when he was in Sunday school, and the teacher kicked him out of the church. And I said, so, you know, really that doesn't sound like you're an atheist. It sounds like you're mad at God. And he just started crying. He said, I guess I am. And it was just, you know, I couldn't ask for a better opportunity like that. That was incredible. And all this life he thought he was an atheist.
Well, you know, I do a lot of hospital calls for various reasons, and I'm even bumped into you there. But you know, what's interesting is that at that moment when people are in the hospital, the vulnerability is unbelievable.
Yes.
I mean, it's a whole new level. And then you have all the family dynamics along with the doctors and everything else going on. But it seems like people just really want to be cared for.
They do. And sometimes, you know, they don't understand. We think they're going to get preached at when we come in. So what we try to do is downplay. I'm here to make rounds, just checking, is there anything I can do for you? You know, you got everything you need. You need to tell the nurse anything. I can help you. I'm just a chaplain.
Do you follow up after they leave? I mean, does a patient one time reach back and say, hey, Larry, I want to see you again?
A couple of times we've had some of our volunteers that are pastors be asked to do funerals, and so that kind of stuff. But we don't typically follow up because the hospital doesn't want that.
Yeah, right.
You know.
So, and you say it's a 4-hour-a-week commitment?
Yes.
Well,
they can do 2 hours or 1 4-hour.
Well, that's not a huge commitment.
It isn't. It's for a year long. We ask you to stay a year, you know, and then you can re-up. It's just, you know, and we have people that most of our volunteers have been there, other than the new ones. Most of our volunteers have been there 5, 6 years.
I can't imagine what you've experienced in that role.
Oh.
And the people you see and bump into and the different levels of sickness and illness.
Well, and it's kind of refined me as a pastor too, you know, because a lot of they're sheep without a shepherd. I mean, they really don't have any idea what they're clinging to, you know, and sometimes they don't have anything to cling to. They're just, you know, ships on an ocean with no motor. And it's just to try to talk to them and try to draw them into a direction. What are you afraid of? You know, we talk about sometimes going, we call them life reviews. I'll ask a guy a question like, you know, when you were in high school, what kind of car did you have? You know, and 57 Chevy, was it a hot one? Man, it was the hot, tell me about it. And he starts going back, and then all of a sudden, now we're talking about what's going on here. That 57 Chevy resembled his heart, you know, his heart's not functioning probably. He said, I hated it when it was such a thing that always need to get tuned up and everything. And now his heart's giving him problems.
Wow, what an opportunity. Well, let me just say to our viewers and listeners, if you feel the tug, maybe the Lord's leading you to do this, and you have the time to volunteer, you may want to get a hold. Where do they call, Larry?
They can call the hospital. They can call, my number is 789-3780.
All right.
And
all right, 3780. And the first class will be over at Three Rivers. That'll be in the Grants Pass area, 14 and 15. And then a week later, Larry will be doing a class here on the 21st of March.
It'll be at the Smullen Center, and I'll give them all the information. I'll send them the
so,
thing.
you know, I just think, you know, I really feel part of the healing of ourselves and our nation is to give of ourselves to other people. I think that is the law of reciprocity.
And this is at the core of it, because these are the most vulnerable people.
All right. Get a hold of them, 789-7380, and check out one of the classes, and maybe you want to become a volunteer chaplain there with Asante. Thank you, friend. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Okay.
All right. We'll be right back.